All right, guys, it's November and it's time to get your trail cameras in different places. So here's the thing, guys. Early season September, you should have your trail cameras in certain places. October, you should have them in certain places. November, you should be always changing where your trail camera locations are because different things are happening at different portions of the year. And you know, if you can stay up to date with where your camera locations are or try and put them in a location where a lot of these things are taking place, you're gonna have more success getting these bucks on camera. Now here's the thing, guys, unless you have your cameras in the right locations, in my opinion, you're not probably getting more than 30% of the movement. And that can really be misleading or give you false hope about what is or isn't going on your property. Unless you put in a corn pile down, guys, it's hard to get a lot of the deer and or all the deer on camera. It's just not, it's not likely. So you need to be able to put them in the right spots because otherwise you're gonna think your target buck's not around or you're just not gonna be informed like you should be. So this is a big deal every month of the hunting season. But let's face it, guys, it's November, it's your gun season, it's the rut. This is a time of year we all dream about. This is the month we all wanna get in the timber. So where should you put your cameras in November? The first place that I think of is putting them on scrapes. Putting them on scrapes is going to allow you to get an inventory of what bucks are hanging around. Now, don't get me wrong, I'd rather put cameras on scrapes that last week of October time period, but let's face it, that's not, I mean, there's a big difference between late October and the first week of November. A lot is changing, a lot more communication going on, trying to find those does, but nonetheless, those deer are still using those same strategies themselves to communicate. They're using scrapes. Maybe not as much, but they are gonna use them. They're gonna keep working them. After they breed doe number 1, they're gonna look for doe number 2. Guess where they're gonna go? They're gonna go to a scrape. Say, who checked in here last? Where'd she go? Let's go find her. So getting them on those scrapes is gonna allow you to get that inventory. And this is ultimately a place where these deer are going to kind of figure out what's going on in their neck of the woods, who's still around, who's been bred, who's checking in, who's not. Getting them on scrapes is definitely a place you should be getting your cameras. The thing about which scrape, well, here's the thing. Putting a camera on a scrape is gonna get you buck pictures. It most likely is. But now you gotta be able to pick the scrape that is most valuable. How do you find the scrape that's most valuable? In my opinion, I'm not necessarily a scrape hunter, if I had to be completely honest with you guys, unless I have a reason to hunt that scrape. So a scrape, you know, a deer could be traveling half a mile just to come hit that scrape. And if I sit over that scrape and he's a half mile away or a quarter mile or wherever, well, I'm not gonna kill him. I need to be able to correlate that scrape with his home range, his bedding area. I need to have a reason, his food source. There needs to be a reason that deer is gonna hit that scrape in daylight. Otherwise, I have no interest in hunting it. But I'm still putting my camera there to at least gain inventory, see what time he's hitting this scrape. And ultimately, that'll help me decide whether or not that deer is killable. Maybe he's on a neighboring property, he's just not making it to the scrape line. Regardless, having a camera on a scrape line in November or on a scrape is gonna help you have a lot more success. Same thing goes for rub lines. I don't hear people talk about rub lines often enough, guys. And a lot of times rub lines, there's a correlation between rub lines and scrape lines and even just normal trails. And we've talked about these double-sided rubs, and when I'm seeing double-sided rubs, that normally means that I'm on an exit and entrance trail, maybe to and from a bedding area to a food source. If I'm on that rub line and a trail, chances are it's kind of a, you know, it's kind of a two birds with one stone type scenario when it comes to places to put your trail cameras. It's going to allow you to pick up on movement, where deer are coming and going from, and ultimately maybe even pick out where your target buck is spending his time. That's the thing about a rub line. Bucks lay down rubs, and when you get on those rub lines, maybe they only hit it once or whatever the case is. So once again, you're always trying to put a couple things in your favor, you know, get close to a bedding area and all these other tactics. But if you can figure out where that buck is going, that buck should be dead. So I like focusing on rub lines in November for sure. Now, the next one that I want to talk about is a little bit more broad, and this is one that you can use in farm country, you can use in big woods, you can use this in every setting. Guys, get your cameras on the edge. What does edge mean? Okay, edge could be corn to timber. Edge could be topographical feature. Get your cameras on the edge because edge is a natural travel corridor for deer. So now we got the scrapes, we got the rubs. I mean, you can get them on food sources in November. There's a million different places, But if we just focus, worst case scenario, on getting your cameras on the edge, finding what the edge is, you're gonna find deer movement. And if you can find the deer movement, you can find the deer. If you can find the deer, you can kill the deer. It's as simple as that. Edge of swamp to timber. There's a million different edges. Is it a hard edge, like an absolute like corn to timber? Is it a soft edge where there's a transition of CRP into something and turns into something else? At the end of the day, guys, that's where you're gonna find this sign anyway. Even if there's not sign there yet, there's a chance that if you just put it on an edge, that sign might pop up if you're close to a bedding area or you're close to an area in which these deer spend a lot of time. Edge could be the food source. Just think about edge when you're walking around the timber or on your property and think, why would deer travel here? And you got to get a camera in those locations. Like I said before, whitetails are creatures of the edge. If you focus on the edge, you'll find whitetails. It might not be daylight movement, but it's going to allow you to put the pieces to the puzzle together. So scrapes and rubs. There's some other ones, guys, as well, but the scrape lines especially, the rub lines, and just worst case scenario, find the edge. If you can find the edge, guys, you're going to find the whitetails. Simple as that.